Okay, trying something different this time than Legos or Star Wars stuff. And yeah, I think that's primary what I've been focusing on. Um, was just at Walmart the other day and made a return, and I figured I'd look and see what they got. And this has caught my eye. I was like, this looks kind of interesting. And it's like $14, $15 or so. And this is basically, obviously, it's from Deadpool and Wolverine movie, and this is Wolverine in his that movie, the outfit that he wears, which I really like. I like the fact that they finally, in the movies, they brought Wolverine a proper Wolverine costume in the yellow and black, or I guess bluish, if not the one with the brown or that looks like maroon to me. Sometimes it's a very similar design, but I kind of prefer this one more. I didn't like the burgundy or the brown mixed in as much myself. And it still has some of the modern design elements. Makes it look like there's armor plating and stuff mixed into the suit as well. Although he's basically uh, uh, immortal, if not like invulnerable to almost anything practically, because he can regenerate and all that stuff. But yeah, I think it was finally, because there was a tease of this costume, at least a mask, in like some other movie some time ago, and they finally brought him back in this proper suit. I never really liked the original. Well, I mean, I liked watching it, no doubt. The original X-Men movies, right, with him and Patrick Stewart, and the ones were originally Fox, right, and then studios, and or is it Sony? I think it's Fox, and but they're doing the very typical superhero outfits, basically make it a black version of whatever they would wear, and that seems to be like the code since I'd say the '89 Batman movie came out. They just made everything superheroed out more or less black or very dark for that part. Make it look more serious, and they didn't want to do the original colors, and they only put little hints of it, like little bits of yellow. But I never liked that black leather suit that they've been wearing for the X-Men costumes, all blacked out, and especially he never had even a mask. They just, I guess they pay to have his face on as Wolverine, so you're gonna see it. They don't want it covered up. Um, it's kind of funny, this weird duality, like especially a lot of some characters just happen to have masks on, and that's their identity. Like Judge Dredd. I personally, they like okay, they got rid of the helmet pretty quickly, and then just showed Sylvester Stallone, without the helmet for the most of the movie, right? And besides, he got convicted and was sent to jail anyway, so he couldn't wear his full uniform. But I like the remake or later on Dread with Carl Urban, and yeah, that was pretty cool. I like, and then they just kept the helmet on throughout the movie, and that was good. That's his identity, right? And again, Wolverine, he's been known to have both on and off. At least in the comics as well as the animated shows in the '90s, and there's all so many sources, right? But I'm glad they finally made it like this. So, and this is a model kit. You can see there's parts here, and it's on a tree. And I figured, why not? It looks like it's pretty posable, and it looks like a decent build. Makes him. He looks more comic book like, but that's fine. I'm not. I kind of appreciate like it's kind of a stylized version of the movie, and it just looks like also like the original, some of it the original comic or animated series. I want to cut and dive right into this. See what we got inside. Let's fold this blade back up before I cut myself. Champion class. So I have no idea what the scale is of this. Does it even say? 101 pieces, no brush. See, all I need is just a good set of razors or my God hand clippers, tree trimmer. They're not God hand, but they're like that. These are very high quality pieces. And that's everything in there. And this is a pretty decent box art. They got the iridescent effect on the blades here and throughout, and also on the sides. It's a pretty deluxe packaging in a way. And what else? And Blokees has been known to make, like, I think for me, like, I've noticed them doing the Transformer stuff, primarily G1, but I think they dabbled in other Transformer franchises, other series. But the main focus for me would have been the G1s. I think they're pretty cool. They're really not transformable. Well, not exactly. I think they did do a recent, like, Combaticons, even a Devastator, but they're either fixed in one mode or the other, and then I think you can, with some other parts, maybe recombine it to make the combiner, robot form. But the only problem with those for me is that, although I think they're pretty cool, they look a little too a bit deformed and cartoony. Even the source material is cartoon or comic, but they look even more like distorted, like kind of their heads and their joints and limbs are kind of too big for the body. I don't know. Anyways, nice to all like pre-paint it, and some of these parts are already cut off or separate. These look like they're little ball joints and stuff, so that's going to be for the articulation. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bags. Clearly marks. Nice. It's already detailed. It looks pretty awesome. I mean, at most I can imagine maybe just doing some bit of panel lining just to go into the recesses and maybe bring out some of the detail that a little bit more, so it doesn't look so plastic-like. Just emphasize the detail, or maybe some dry brushing or something. You might want, if you want to make it look slightly more illustrated, I might want to like do a lighter color of or tone of the yellow on top to simulate like a bit of highlight, and maybe on the underside some shadow just to really make it more dimensional. But we'll see. I only have so much time, and here are the flesh parts, and it's cool. Even the faces, if they're interchangeable. Scoot this down here. You can see that. Let me zoom up a little bit. So yeah, you got different expressions. I mean, he's got either a blank or more, or even like a semi-angry to a really angry, aggressive face. That's pretty much just look for the most part. And yeah, I think with a good set of trimmers, it should go together nicely. And instruction manual. And I wonder how long this would take. I've never built one of these, and I figured, what the heck, little maintenance. And I think you can customize it too to some degree, like, but you can do it with sorry, back up here. You can do it with the arm piece or without. I guess I forget, in the movie, does he have it, or does it come off maybe later, like his suit gets worn out and maybe like some parts of it fall off and he doesn't have that. I forget if it's more exposed or not. I have to look. I've only watched the movie once, and you get the option of having this claw out or retracted, and I think most people are going to want to see his claws, so I'm going to definitely pose in that, and that should be that. And pretty straightforward instructions. Click with an exclamation mark. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, no. I was thinking, wait, do you get to make 2 sets of heads? I wonder. Let's see, where's his headpiece? Not sure. Where are those? Oh, here's. Oh, you know what? Hold on. One. It looks like. Am I tripping? It looks like there's 2. I guess so I don't run over it. Looks like there are actually 2 face pieces, because you see how this is like the side of. I think this is the front, and here's the side piece. That, see, like right there. Right there. See how it's got those pieces, and this also has that too. But then you see that there's one right here, and there's another one right there. Interesting. And then there's a C1, there's a C2. I wonder if they give you two eyepieces. Oh, they do. I can already see it. Even though it's covered here, you can see there's one mask right behind here, and then here's the other one right there. Oh, that's cool. Like, you don't have to necessarily like build them, like you don't have one head to build, and you have to like pull it apart to change the I guess the facial expression. Because these two are, everything else is the same. B1's, oh wait a minute, how come this one is different? B1-3, B1-6, still the back of the head. And then this C8. Interesting. Maybe because of the facial expression, there's a slight difference in the like for lack of a better term, like the deformation of the mask around the face, especially around the jawline or something, or maybe even around the mask. Well, C2, they're using the same thing. C1, yeah. So I'm just, yeah, maybe that's why these back. Oh, that's weird that the back pieces would be different. The only thing I could tell is different is the face. But anyways, you can basically make two sets of heads, one for this and one for that. And yeah, I think there is some differences in the deformation, and maybe somehow that translates to the back of the head, which is interesting. It's like, I wouldn't think that would make a difference into the back of the head. But you can already see, hopefully, closer without adding glare. Let me see if I can zoom up. Like, you can see, like, look at this face. You look at the, where's my finger? The amount of blue that's on the side of the face with this expression versus this one. You see, notice it's a little bit thinner. It's not as much. It's a little bit thinner around the side. So I guess because the face is more aggressive and like almost a grin, it widens out. That's why you maybe not see as much of it from this front angle. I mean, it's so subtle. And I'm surprised that the eyes aren't more different too. Well, maybe from behind the mask, like within it, each of these eye details inside here might be slightly different shape. Just slightly, just to make this one, I guess I would imagine it would be just a little bit more squinty or intense because, you know, his expression. Interesting. But that's, you get those two sets, and then you can obviously just interchange the shoulder parts. I don't think you get two sets of arms, like one like this and another set like this for both sides, so that you can just change them whole. I think maybe you might have to pull the arms apart to make that happen. I don't know. I'll find out when I build it, and then I'll show you guys how this is. That's cool. Yeah, but again, I don't usually deal with Blokees because I think most of their stuff a little bit too cartoony for me. I want it to look a little bit closer to the source material, especially the transformable ones. They just don't look quite in proportion, you know. Except for I made a video of it a little while ago with the Unicron in planet mode. I think that looks pretty decent for the size of it. You know, it's got good detail, and it looks right. It doesn't look like anything's terribly out of scale or proportion with it within the, you know, the planet mode. Yeah. Now I think I've seen it in robot mode, and you can see that it doesn't translate as directly. It does look a little bit more deformed. Like again, like the robots, they usually look like their heads are a little bit bigger than normal, as well as some of the joints. It's like, I don't know, this doesn't look completely in proportion, but the planet mode is. But anyways, I digress. I'll get into this and I'll come back with this assembled, and we'll see what actual parts are available after you've used them all. Okay, I just wanted to point out something as I was making these. So there are two sets, and I can't even tell the difference between the back of the heads, even though they're numbered differently. But what's really nice about these is just how thinly attached these parts are to the tree, I guess what you call it. Especially the ones I've been cutting off, like around the head. It's just like, it comes off so easily. And I already got, like, these aren't God hands, but they're kind of like them, but just a lot less expensive. They're really good, you know, they cut things off of these plastic trees real cleanly. And sprues, whatever you want to call them. But yeah, that's what I noticed, is that there's such a fine attachment point to just about everything that I can see here. I don't know if you can tell, but it's really small. So like, what little like flash or part that is not supposed to, where it connects, it's barely visible. And I found that I can just rub it down with my fingernail and it just smooths it out. So it's pretty nice. Now it's going to be interesting what happens here, because I don't believe these are molded, dual molded pieces. I'm pretty sure it's painted silver. So we'll see what happens when it comes to trimming the claws off, stuff like this, where you might likely see the black showing through, because I don't see how they can not. Then that might require a little bit of touch-up work with a proper bit of, matching metallic or chrome silver or whatever I can find that's the closest to looking like this. But other than that, I think everything else is its own. I mean, the painted parts already are separated. These are all one color. Everything else is just, I think the main trouble area may be the claws. When I trim those, they will probably show a little bit of black where they were attached. So we'll see. But otherwise, yeah, pretty nicely done. Just how to just trim these off really easily and cleanly. And oh, this one is the closed mouth, right? Yeah, you don't even see the teeth like that one. Does the eyes look different? Not that big a difference that I can tell. Though, maybe this might be squintier, because I think there's a little bit more like black or something underneath the eye, so it makes the white part a little bit smaller or narrower, right? Not as wide open. It should be, because he's got that more aggressive looking face here, and this one is a little bit more neutral. Not exactly happy, but definitely not as intense as this. But okay, one thing to note as I was putting the head together is that snapping on the face part of it was a little tricky. It's like it wasn't really fitting down, and it just seems that you just have to push it in an extra bit till it snaps in, then it really holds, because otherwise it doesn't really seat, and like there would be a gap around the face between that and the mask. And yeah, this FYI, they don't really say that it needs to click with an exclamation mark, but you do need to have that something clicks together in there. I'm not sure where. Maybe that black part that probably holds the ball joint in there. Where see how it kind of attaches into the back of the face right there. Maybe that's where it snaps in and really holds it down. Just an FYI, if you're building this and you have trouble keeping the face really seated right, that could be something that you might want to just try this and make sure to do it till it's had a snap and then it's really held on. I also wanted to just quickly do a close-up of the face, and you can see it's super subtle. Besides the mouth, area, that's probably the most expressive area. The eyes are ever so slightly different as well. So you can see the one with the more intense, like, teeth showing, angrier, face. The eyes are just that little bit more squintier. They're not as open as the one on this side, right? You can see that, right? And in terms of why they have different head backs, I can't, it's super subtle as well. I mean, everything else besides the face had the same part number. I was like, what's different about the back of the head? And trying to, I don't know if I can show it here. I guess maybe because of the way the mouth is grinning or, doing that face expression, it just kind of changes the shape of this part of the side of the mask, and then consequently the way the back flows into it. You can maybe make it out. It's not super obvious, but it's pretty neat that they would even sculpt in this many subtle differences just for the head, which in areas that you probably wouldn't even notice. They could have probably gotten away with using the exact same one, and as long as it fits, right? But I guess they really made it precise. Anyways, yeah, I thought that was kind of just something interesting to note. Yeah. All right, so finished. Took maybe, I had to break for dinner. I'm guessing about maybe 2 hours or so. Just was carefully trimming, and most of it you could argue that you could maybe just twist them off, but I use like a nice clipper for models, cut them off as cleanly as possible. But most of it came off and required very little cleanup work. Like at most, maybe I would do a fingernail, like I said, and burnish, or rather, rub it down, and you can get rid of like tiny little parts where they was joined to the sprue or tree, right? I call it tree, but I guess the sprue could be called. It could also alternatively be called. And the only ones, like I suggested a little bit earlier in the video, as I was building this, cutting it, pointing out how nice the parts were in general. I think I could smooth this out a little bit too. Didn't notice that, but overall pretty good. I think I get in there and smooth it out. But overall, pretty good quality. I think the quality of the plastic seems pretty good. Everything has a nice tight fit. But I digress. I was going to say, like, the part that are painted, like this claw, there was attached right there. One at the point, which you could probably see less, and one on the other side. See that? And of course, it's the same on this side. That's the only part that you couldn't cut cleanly without showing it, because it was painted over the dark blue, I guess, whatever that was, or is it black? And but I think that can be easily remedied with either a good metallic marker, just a quick touch-up paint there, and you're done. So I'm not too worried about that. I have plenty of metallic paints, and overall it's pretty cool. Everything again came together nicely. Very easy to understand the instructions, and you got plenty of articulations. I mean, you can replace again the parts with you do get alternate parts, so you don't have to necessarily disassemble a lot to reconfigure it. For the head, basically pop up those on ball joints. You just pop it off, and you can go with a slightly more narrow, neutral facial expression, although it's still generally kind of aggressive or angry-ish, but not as much as this one here. So I stick with this. This is very Wolverine for me. And you can go with a version without these shoulder pieces. So just the biceps. Is it biceps? Oh, no, shoulder piece. So this, you have this funky little thing in here, which maybe might have been better if it was painted blue to hide it, but I think for most angles you won't see it, or you can angle this. This is articulatable, like you can angle it lower so it doesn't show up as much, but then you got this kind of gap here. So depending on how you pose the arm, and I'll have to figure that later, you may want to, just repose it, but it's not a big deal. It's just some limitations to this. And then the arms can go up, but I think as high as you see right there, that will allow you. So it can't go all the way up like that. I mean, you could rotate the arms up like this, of course, but then that looks weird to have the shoulder blade thing underneath. They should still remain on top, right? So I think within this range from back here to here, it's kind of okay for this thing to move around a bit. But I'll probably pose them pretty close to how it looks like on the box. And what else can you do? You can bend the arms up pretty high up because it's like a double joint right here, and it's an elbow piece, but you know, so you can really get up there. You can of course articulate the claws like this, and same goes with that side. Whoa. What size is this figure? I'm not sure what the scale is. I can't say, but this measures about 6-7 inches. Oh, actually 5.5. At least from the feet to the top of his mask, his ears piece here is about 5.5 inches. Decent size. It's not, I'm pretty sure, like Star Wars Black Series in comparison, like Mando here. I see his feet are about here. Yeah, it's definitely going to be smaller than that, but it's definitely bigger than the 3 3/4 size, you know, very typical smaller scale action figures. So you can do that. You can angle the, I believe you should be able to angle the fist in a little bit. No, actually, maybe not. Oh, maybe if I bent him in a certain position, then I could, whoops, yeah. Oh, there you go. Again, these are ball joints too. You can replace them with retracted claws, or you just have the hand set like this. And that's basically the amount of replaceable parts, you know, you can have to your liking. But I mean, it's Wolverine, you're gonna want the claws out, and you got definitely some waist turn. You can do crunches. You can see here, and so it's pretty posable in this area. And the legs go up as far as you can, but you know it's going to hit this part, the hip piece, and you can't really go back directly back either, because the butt piece here is going to hit this part of the back of the thigh, I guess. But you know, you have some posability here, and again a double joint for the knees, so you can really at least get it to go back like that and raise up higher, or you can have them like he's kind of posed there, kind of wide and standing low, and there are like ankle pivots right here, so you can get them pretty nice and low. She's kind of known for like really squatting low and getting ready to like attack mode. So it's quite posable in that sense. You can do the, you know, the famous like double claws like this, like cross. But it's kind of neat. But then I think I would want them more open, so he's not blocking the front of his face. So I'll see how that goes. Again, I'll probably pose him close to where it is. And you got actually the neck here has like a, because he's on, the head is on a ball joint as well as right inside here. So you can see you can bend up, down, and a little bit left and right. So yeah, something like that. And it's pretty stable for the most part. And the toes actually have a bendable point too, like that as well. So you can really get, like, you know, really get the, if you need him to squat down lower or something, or he's got some terrain that his feet are close to, you can pose him up a little bit, but I think I'll have a real need for that. I'm trying to think what will be the best pose. something like that. I'll figure it out. But anyways, that's basically the gist of it. Get his arms up higher. So if I can, I try to get this closer to the body. Don't want to see the separation there as too much. But yeah, it's not a bad action figure, like model. Pretty well represented and nice details, and everything's pre-painted. I think this could use a bit of a, not as much of a wash as maybe some bit of panel lining. If there is a wash, I mean, if I'm thinking when I have the time, panel lining or something to get into the details of the suit. Because if I recall in the movie, his suit wasn't really clean either. You know, he had some grime into the crevices, and it wasn't a completely clean yellow costume outfit, right? So there was definitely some grime there, if I recall. So that could be added there, just add some detail and some you know, there's some bit of use in battle wear, I guess, and additionally, maybe something could be done to just define the area around the mouth a tiny bit more. Let me zoom up a bit. You can see better details. It's really nicely detailed, and around the neck, just get some paneling in there. I think it'd be nice. And then in terms of like, I think maybe to define his muscles a little bit more, some bit of wash or dry brushing or something, just to maybe some dark tan or something or brown, to just kind of find a way to define the musculature around the arms a little bit better. And that's pretty much it. Not to go too crazy, but some just dabs of panel lining and a bit of dry brushing of some sort. Maybe airbrush, but I kind of want to avoid busting out the airbrush and all the cleaning involved. But I mean, to define the arms, maybe a smidget more wouldn't hurt. No, this is not bad. It's just like a clean, nicely done action figure. And I guess that's it. So yeah, I definitely want to go in and at the very least touch up those parts on the claws that I wished where it was attached to the sprue tree, and get that all cleaned up there. And then the rest of it could stay like this for a while until I find the time to really clean this guy up. But again, you couldn't see the details up close earlier. Just kind of spin this around. That, it's not bad. For 14 bucks, a little bit of time just to build a very nicely detailed, fairly accurate and articulate figure of Wolverine from the movie. And in a way, he's mostly from the movie, but I can kind of take him as like a bit of a comic book version as well. I mean, it does have this kind of look. Well, yeah, I guess it's mostly the movie. That's fine. He looks pretty darn cool to me here. So yeah, definitely recommend it. Again, for around $15. Could do worse. And again, this is not as deformed as I have a box here. Like we're trying to point out, like Megatron, you can see how blocky in his head is. I mean, these are blockies. And you can see also from the other ones, like what I mean is like this, very small torsos, and then like look how big his head is compared to everything else, and they just really exaggerated the limbs. They don't look terrible, but if I'm going to try to get a nice representation of Transformers, I want them to look a little bit more accurate proportionately. And these aren't big, but I am limited on space anyway, so I wouldn't want to add too much stuff to my uh, display space. So this one was cool. I think this looks fairly reasonably in proportion overall. And this Triptychon actually doesn't look too bad in this form. I would say, from what I can recall of the original G1 toy and stuff, it looks fairly in proportion. Better so than these guys. Yeah. But I mean, you got the space and you don't mind you like the design, the style. So it's definitely stylized. Then go for them. They're a nice addition if you into that. Anyways, yep, that's it. I just wanted to share this and yeah, hopefully give anyone who hasn't seen or curious about this a little bit of insight, at least with my personal experience. And I think it's a worthy little project side kit. Okay, thanks for watching. Later.